All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the update of my 1000 days challenge. This is day 44. So let's get things started. All right, so over on Bitcoin today, I'll just be covering that because it's on a Sunday. As you can see, I'm looking at the weekly chart, even though it has yet to close, simply because over there we got a very sharp drop, and then now we tentatively seems to have found support at the 20 exponential moving average on the weekly chart. So this is actually a good bullish sign. But of course, you can see that the volume is not as strong as expected. But that doesn't mean that it is just because of that it is going to be bearish. Could someone actually have a small little bounce and go down, or it could have a strong bounce and continue going up as well. So that's something to take note of on the weekly chart basis. That said, today is yet to close, so we can't say for sure that it's going to form a nice bullish candle. And let's get back to the daily chart instead. Alright, so on the daily chart, what I do see over here is still in a neutral kind of a market structure. You get a higher high yesterday close, but a low and a lower low. So if it actually does retraces today, that will be a good sign because there will be a healthy pullback before it breaks higher to form a higher high instead. So that could be something of consideration. All right, and on the 4-hourly chart, I actually drawn up a new potential long setup today. So the reason why is because I see this over here, a very nice small little consolidation pattern. So here I see one, it's actually breaking up just right now. So I wouldn't enter this trade instead. So this trade, when I draw over here, just like I think 15 minutes ago, what my intention in mind was that I wanted one candle, two candle, and three candlestick to actually form before the breakout. Because if this actually breaks up right now, I would not be able to put a much tighter stop loss like this. Instead, I'll put it at least below the 20 exponential moving average, below this, in order for it, in which case I have a very bad, poor risk to reward setup. So in which case I actually avoid taking up this trade instead. So over here, you will see, over here, yep. Can pause here and take a look and read what I'm trying to state in terms of the potential setup. I will only enter when it breaks above the 10.5K, even though the criteria is met. But if it accumulates for one more, then I'll consider. Yeah. Okay, I wouldn't use the word if, I would say it must, provided it accumulates for one more candlestick. So that is very important for me. And I'll rather miss this trade than to take this because it will be too aggressive. And yeah, without a nice breakout, what could happen is that it could break out and then have a forced breakdown, forced breakout in what I would say, and then continue the way backwards or accumulating again. So this is not what I want to do. Generally, I want to see at least 3 candlestick of consolidation right below resistance before I consider entering a stop buy or stop sell order per se. So that's just my kind of approach. All right, so yep, so now that this trade has effectively does that, then I'll actually remove this because this will no longer be valid. Because if it does have a false breakout, unless of course it accumulates again for another 3, okay, so maybe I'll still leave it here. What I will do is I'll still wait for it to accumulate for at least 3 candlesticks because it could be pushed down as you can see right now. So if being pushed down, what I want to do is actually push it higher for a breakout in this case, and then here. In which case the risk to reward will be too poor, so in which case I think I will just remove this. I will no longer be considering that. So please bear in mind that this long setup is no longer validated, at least from my kind of perspective, due to the poor risk to reward being considered. All right, in terms of short setup, I actually modify a little bit. I actually want to wait for it to retraces to around here, accumulate somewhere a little bit for like 3 candlesticks, similarly again on a 4-hourly chart, before a breakdown, and that is where I'll enter a short setup instead. So the reason why I generally prefer some sort of consolidation prior to breakout is because that gives a much tighter stop loss, which in resulting a much better risk to reward kind of outcome. Yeah, and also because when there's a stop momentum, generally when the breakout tends to be much stronger and towards the direction of your favor. Whereas if you have a small little accumulation phase, like just one candlestick and then just break down the kind of literally no accumulation phase, it tends to have a weaker kind of movement or momentum. Yeah, per se. All right, so yeah, that's about it. Actually, you'll notice that my current balance actually dropped from yesterday because I have an experimental setup. You can see the breakdown. The 700 is based on the 4-hourly chart, which has no change, whereas the 200, which is the loss, I'm risking actually $50, which is half the risk that I take for my main trading portfolio. So over here was 165. Okay, the reason why, even though it's $50, there's some sort of slippages that happen for some of the trades I mentioned before when I did the trades on the shorter time frame, be it on a 1 hour or even on a 5-minute and 15-minute time frame using similar concept. The idea is that it works well in theory because I've tested it out, but on the other hand, when I test it out in real situation, in real trading, what happens is that there's slippages, and also because you're trading with a larger position size, simply because the same risk to reward occurs is still the same $50 risk in terms of the half R, but what happens is that I have to buy a larger position, say for example, instead of 10,000 Bitcoin, I have to buy like 20,000, that kind of thing. And because of that, your slippage tends to be higher. And even though it moves by a small little few cents or a dollar, it could have a much significant impact in terms of percentage-wise to the risk, and therefore making it, in my opinion, non-profitable, because that is reducing my age over extended period of time, which is why I actually stopped using or stopped trading on a much shorter time frame. I would say I stopped trading on those with a much smaller risk to reward in terms of percentage terms due to the fees being involved. Yep, so that's something to take in mind and consideration as well. Yep, otherwise that's basically about it, the only update I have for today. And I will not be looking for a long trade setup on the 4-hourly chart at least. If you do want to look for the long setup, I would at least look at the 1-hourly chart, whereby price, if I recall, has broke above the 200 simple moving average. So that is where price, as you can see, there's a pullback and a breakout, pullback and a breakout. So this is tentatively what you can do if you want to trade on a 1-hour chart basis. On 1-hourly chart, I actually made a loss basically based on here. Actually enter short thing somewhere here, and then after that, when it breaks above here, that's where I will have triggered my stop loss. Yeah. Otherwise, if I have not entered here, then potentially I could enter long. Yeah. So that it is what it is. So let's just manage accordingly. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.